For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading materials supplier to the racing industry. We're proud they're a motorsports content partner here at Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for raw materials such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is the place to go for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the path to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com or SRI-supplies.com. Check them both out on Facebook or call them toll-free at 1-888-752-7272, 1-888-752-7272.
Good evening, race fans! Get set, because tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report takes the green flag and gets underway right now. Happy Halloween, everybody!
Welcome to tonight's Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. I'm Tom Baker. Joining me for our 30-minute foray into the world of asphalt late models and NASCAR-style modifieds tonight is our producer and Speed77 Radio personality, Jacob Seelman. Good to have you on air with us tonight, Jacob.
Good to be back, Tom. Always good to be here on Thursday nights, both behind the glass and tonight behind the microphone as well.
Well, it's good to have you here, and of course in studio with us this evening as well is well-known motorsports media personality Tony Stevens. Tony, thanks for joining us tonight on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. How are you?
Thanks, Tom, for having me. Doing good. Kind of bummed slightly. UARA-STARS season is over with. It's been an exciting season. Don't get me wrong by any means. It's been a great tour. But, you know, kind of bummed. I mean, I want to go to the racetrack and go UARA racing, but the good news is there's a lot of stuff coming up in the next month or so to go to kind of get the racing fix, if you will, over the next, like I said, 4 or 5 weeks or so.
We'll have a feature interview with young John Hunter Nemechek in just a little while as John talks to us about his NASCAR Camping World Truck Series debut at Martinsville last weekend and this weekend's All-American 400 for the Super Late Models in Nashville, Tennessee. But let's begin, in fact, with some Carolinas-based conversation as we talk to Tony about the UARA-STARS series and their recently completed 2013 season, along with some of the stuff coming up here in the Carolinas. First of all, Tony, I know that you were involved all year long with the UARA-STARS series. We've talked about it extensively on the program here. We've had both of the Bassett brothers on, I think Dylan more than once, in fact. But certainly this was Dylan Bassett's year, but not without some serious competition, though.
No, you're exactly right. I mean, Dylan had to earn it, and I don't think it was a surprise when you really look at it. You know, he was Rookie of the Year last year and really only missed out on the championship by a few points. Now, he had a little bit of help with that in that Travis Swaim had some major issues at Rockingham last year in the finale, but Dylan was in a position at that point that he could have won the championship if everything went the way that it needed to for him. So I don't think it was a big surprise. And when he came into the series, it's hard to believe 2 years ago now, his debut race was Newport. It wasn't that great. He finished, I think, like 18th or something. But everybody said Dylan Bassett is better than his brother Ronnie. And at that point, Ronnie Bassett had just started winning some races and really showing his strength. And I think now everybody sees why Dylan Bassett was just so good. I mean, it took him a while to get rolling this season, but once he got rolling, he knocked off 3 in a row. And then he played the game to perfection, whether it was intentional, accidental, or not. It doesn't matter. He did what he had to do to maximize points in that he was able to start in the back in every race his way forward, get the advantage of the passing points, and then finish really well on top of that, in some cases even winning the race to maximize the bonus points. So he did everything he had to do, but Garrett Campbell was there all season long. His brother Ronnie Jr. was right there as well all season. And don't count out Travis Swaim. I mean, he gave it his all to defend his title as well. And then up until he decided to go Can-Am Pro Series and NASCAR Camping World Truck Series racing, Brandon Jones even had a really legitimate shot, I feel, at possibly challenging for that championship as well. So certainly Dylan had to earn it. It was not handed to him by any means.
Well, we take a minute to wish all of our listeners out there a happy Halloween here on this Thursday night. And although he had quite a bit of competition, at the end of the day, really, nobody had a ghost of a chance against Dylan Bassett and his team when it came down the stretch. They did exactly what they had to do, and every driver needs an ace crew chief to complete sort of the team, and certainly Dylan Bassett with Seth Smith coming on board. Seth was the car chief for Ronnie last year, coming over as the crew chief for Dylan this year. He certainly got Sparkplug going, and once those two had some time to gel, they really clicked.
Yeah, they really did. And like you said, it took a little while, and they gelled just like peanut butter and jelly after a while. They're synonymous with one another, and it just seemed like you could see it in Seth's face. You could hear it in his voice, and same with Dylan. The beginning of the year, Dylan, he was confident. Don't get me wrong, because he'd won a couple races the year before, came off a great season, Rookie of the Year, second in points. But the first few races, you could just sense a little bit of uneasiness of, I'm not really sure where we're at. I know we have good race cars. I know we're going to be okay, but I don't really know what to expect. And then once they hit on that combination, whatever it was, they were off like rockets. And Seth has done a great job on that race car, making sure it gave Dylan what he needed to have behind the wheel. There were a couple occasions this season I talked to him after practice, be it on the day before practice or the practice of race day, and go, what have you got? And Dylan would look at me and go, we're junk. I mean, absolute junk. And Seth would have the guys there thrashing to change everything, control arms and kingpin angles, and you name it, all the slugs in the front end, front sway bars, everything. They throw something together, cobble it together, he'd go out and run top 5. And it's nights like that that you can take a car that should run 10th or 15th and run top 5 with it, that Seth Smith did his part to help win that championship as well.
Yeah, it certainly was a team effort there. But as you said, there were some other drivers who really, really showed their stuff throughout the season. And there's a lot of young talent in the series. There has been for a couple of years now. When you start talking about some of the other guys, you know, Garrett Jones and some of the other racers, talk a little bit about some of the guys that we can expect next year to be looking to challenge Sparkplug, who obviously will likely be back to defend the title. I think he may do more outlaw late model racing, if you will, just sort of a maverick schedule. But that will open the door for some of these other young kids.
Yeah, it really, really will. I mean, I look at somebody like Kaz Gralla and talking to his family. Their plan right now is to come back next season full bore, maybe try to do some K&N starts as well. But they want to make a shot at the championship, and I think they came in this year. Well, I know they came in with the plan of running 4 or 5 UARA-STARS races before doing the full season next year. Well, when Kaz went to Victory Lane at Hickory, kind of changed the entire plan, and they went to be a full-timers right after that. Can you blame them? I mean, you have that good of a run, of course you want to stay after it. And he had some good runs, had some bad luck, but he's got a lot of potential next year. I think Dylan Hall will be back as well next year, and the last race at Anderson this past Saturday night really showed his potential. The kid, to be completely honest with you, and no disrespect intended, but the kid's hit everything but the lottery this year. And on Saturday, he hit the pole position. I mean, it was a complete turnaround, and I don't know if it was just that confidence of coming back to his home racetrack at Anderson to where he could say, I know what I'm doing here. He and B.J. Mackey put that car on the pole by 0.2 of a second, ran right with Ronnie Jr. and Travis Swaim all night, ended up finishing in the top 5, and I think Dylan Hall maybe could be a threat for, you know, some wins next year if everything goes according to plan. He certainly proved Saturday night that, you know, maybe he has turned the corner and is starting to these UARA-STARS late models. It's really good to see out of a kid like that, racing family, and of course he's real enthusiastic about being there as well. And there's a lot of other drivers that I've talked to that have thought about running the Tour, if not full-time, certainly part-time, and have looked at it. Of course, Garrett Jones being one of them, our Rookie of the Year. Sounds like he'll be back next year as well. And it wouldn't surprise me if Garrett Campbell comes back to try to make himself another title run. He was so close at this year that it was painful, really. I mean, when you go back and look at the points, and unofficially, if he could have gotten to Ronnie Jr. and passed him and won that race, Garrett Campbell would have tied Dylan Bassett in the points. That's unofficial, of course, but he would have tied him, which means that Garrett would have won the championship by virtue of wins. That's just how close it was. And, of course, there'll be some other drivers coming back as well. And every year we have some people that, show up and say, hey, we want to run with you. And they're very, very surprising in a very pleasant way, and certainly great teams, and it's a great series to run in.
We're going to have more with Tony Stevens coming up. Before we do that, however, we're going to throw the first caution flag of the evening. We will be back on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report here on Speed77 Radio and Race Chaser Online right after these words. Stay with us. For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading materials supplier to the racing industry. We're proud they're a motorsports content partner here at Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for raw materials such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is the place to go for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the path to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com or SRI-supplies.com. Check them both out on Facebook or call them toll-free at 1-888-752-7272, 1-888-752-7272.
Packers,
Vikings,
Red State,
Blue State.
We come from different places.
Uptown,
Downtown.
We come to different conclusions.
half empty,
Half full.
But no matter how different we are, we're all connected, and we can all make a difference. That's why United Way brings people, expertise, and resources together to improve the education, income, and health of our communities, the building blocks for a better life. When we live united, our efforts, magnified by others, add up to real change. Children succeed in school, families gain financial stability, the health of our neighbors improves, and suddenly, so do our communities. But real change won't happen without you.
Live united.
So let's look beyond our differences.
Live united.
One by one, let's make a difference. Let's reach out a hand to one and influence the condition of all.
Live united.
Give, advocate, volunteer. Live United. Sign up today at liveunited.org. Brought to you by United Way and the Ad Council.
Hi, this is Jamie McMurray here for RAD, the entertainment industry's voice for road safety. Want to make a difference? It's simple. Be responsible. Plan ahead. Designate before you celebrate. Friends don't let friends drive drunk.
Baby, you can drive my car. Yes, I'm gonna be a star.
A public service message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Transportation, RAD, the National Association of Broadcasters, and the Ad Council.
I'm Jacob Seelman.
And I'm Tom Baker.
You're listening to Speed77 Radio,
Powered by Race Chaser Online.
We are your home for motorsports.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. Tom Baker with you, along with Seelman and our guest for the moment, motorsports media personality Tony Stevens. We've been talking UARA-STARS late model racing, and Jacob, I know you got a question for Tony.
Yeah, I do. And Tony, I was with you down there a few weeks ago at the Kingsport race for UARA, but it was that race where I was watching Travis Swaim, and we'd seen Travis all year come so close, and so close, and so close. Won 7 or 8 pole positions, I think,
It was
on
a
the
bunch.
season. It was a bunch. It seemed like every time we had Sunoco pole qualifying for the UARA, Travis Swaim was sitting it right on the pole. But, you know, he comes up short, finishes 3rd in the championship, and really, he never broke through on the win column all year, just couldn't seem to put it in that top position when it counted. Do we have to categorize this season for the defending champion as a bit of a disappointment?
I think you really have to. I mean, it was no surprise that he came out and said on every Sunoco pole known to man that we had qualifying for, because that's exactly what he did last year. He set the record on the tour with 8 pole positions last year, and to be completely honest with you, I don't even know how many he had this year. It was almost as automatic as the sun coming up that Travis Swain would sit on the pole. It was literally, you go to qualifying, and you almost expected it to be a race for the outside pole or a race for third. And sadly enough, you almost knew that Travis wouldn't be there at the end. He would have a good car, he would finish top 5, but he didn't quite have it at the end. And last season, he started to figure these deals out with the tire we ran last season, which was different, obviously, from what we ran this year. And then when we came into the new season and had a new Hoosier tire, it threw everybody for a loop. I think back to the opener at Southern National, he led most of the race until Ronnie Bassett Jr. got by him. And then about halfway through the season, we switched tires. And the reason we did that, a lot of people have their speculation. They want to know what it was. It's very simple. The tire that we switched to puts on, in our opinion, a much better show. You had the F45 where everybody realized very quickly, okay, don't burn the tire up, wait on it till 25 to go, and then just burn everything off that tire you can get out of it. Well, the new F40 tire, it's a great tire. It's a really racy tire. Yeah, some of the drivers don't like it because when it's cold, it's a little skatey, it's a little slick, but once it gets heat in it, it's a great tire. You can abuse it, you can let it cool, and it'll come back. And it really eliminated the game of saving your tires the way you used to. We saw Saturday night Garrett Campbell able to drive through the field. And he burned a little bit of his rear tire off to where he didn't have enough forward drive, but if that would have been last year, he'd have been toast by lap 75 because the tires would have been gone. So that F40 tire, I think, between that and just the whole new deal with the tires, might have thrown Travis Swain's bunch for a little bit of a loop in knowing how much to give late in the race, how much to have, and what that car needed to feel like at the end of the race for Travis to have a shot at winning. So he came close, but yeah, I think you're right. It probably could be considered a disappointing season, although I know a lot of guys that would love to have a third-place season like he did.
Yeah, it definitely was. Travis has been around a while, and he knows what he's doing, and anytime you beat Travis Swain and win a championship, you know you've done something, because certainly he would not be considered a young gun. He's a veteran, and he is one of the best at late model racing in the Carolinas, and probably, honestly, would stack up well with anyone in the country in the NASCAR style late models. Travis, just one of those seasons where you're the bridesmaid far more than you're the bride. And you know, we see that so often. You go through those streaks, and then all of a sudden, luck turns just a little bit. You start pegging them off.
Yeah, absolutely. And it sometimes is one little thing when you have a series as competitive as UARA, that it could be that one little deal that you miss, or maybe you're off on the set, whatever it is, and that little bit sometimes is just that bit you need to get to victory lane. It's kind of like Scott Bloomquist, the dirt racer, says, no weak links. And you're always going to have a weak link, and it's more so a mindset and an attitude, which is to always be constantly improving your program to where what was weak last week isn't as weak as it is, isn't as weak today as it was last week. So that's something that I know, don't get me wrong, they've done a great job at Falcon Racing. They brought Jamie Skinner in the past couple seasons. He's done a great job, had obviously very fast race cars, but just that one little thing, whatever it was, has been missing. And, his teammate Kaz Gralla went to victory lane in the car Travis drove last year to his championship. So whether that means the new car just doesn't quite fit his style, be it something as simple as the way it's welded together and the way the chassis flexes, that there's no way on this level to really detect. It could be something as simple as that. It's really, really hard to say. And maybe he'll switch cars and go back to the previous year's car next year. We don't know. But like we said, he is good. He's had great success, and he'll be good again next year. There's no doubt about it. And it wouldn't surprise me if they'll have some extra motivation in their tanks to try to go out and get some wins early next season as well.
Okay, guys, let's shift gears for just a moment, because we've had a bit of news come across the wire here as we are on air, and that pertains to Daniel Hemrick. Of course, we all know Daniel, and Daniel, a Carolina boy who made good on his dream of becoming a NASCAR Big Series racer last week when he made his Camping World Truck Series debut at the Martinsville Speedway and practiced in the top 10 all day long, qualified just outside the top 10, and then had some transmission issues in the race. But it was a good enough performance to earn him another opportunity. This just in, Daniel Hemrick will be going to Phoenix in the Sharp Gallagher number 6 truck, and that should be a whole lot of fun to watch. Daniel, I think this will be his first time on a mile. I know it'll be his first time on a track that size in the truck. So I'll let you take it first, Tony. What are your thoughts on Daniel's Truck Series debut and his continuation into Phoenix?
Abso-freaking-lutely awesome. That's all I can say. Daniel Hemrick, if you've never met the kid, is the real deal. You know, we see, just to be frank with the listeners, you see so much in this sport of guys anymore that bring sponsors with them. And by sponsors, that usually means dad's paying the tab. That's not to discredit their driving ability, because there have been some very talented drivers that have come from families that have got big businesses that can help support their son or daughter's ambitions to become a Cup driver. But Daniel Hemrick is a flashback to the old school. The kid came from, relatively speaking, compared to what you're used to seeing on Sunday, came from nothing. I mean, his dad worked a blue-collar job. His mom did the same thing. He busted his tail. He made relationships work. He did everything he could to network, to promote himself, got himself sponsors, got himself opportunities. And now here he is doing what he's been doing for the last 10 years, working the network and working himself, self-promoting. He's got people behind him like the Valvoline Express oil change people. He's got Jack Link's beef jerky behind him. And he's got other people in the pipelines as well that have supported him. And I know they're thrilled to see it. But this kid can wheel a race car. There's no doubt about it. He's a genuine personality. You walk over to the shop. Half the time he's over at Jeff Fultz's shop, which is basically right across the street from where I work. And he's sitting there welding on the race car himself, putting things together. He knows the nuts and bolts of the race car. He knows the business side of the race car, and he certainly knows how to get the job done behind the wheel. The kid is, if all the breaks can go his way and he can keep sponsorship behind him, the kid is going to be something big, and he is certainly going to be one of those personalities that you want to latch on to, because there's nothing bad about Daniel Hemrick that I've ever seen. The kid really knows how to get the job done, and I'm so happy to see him get another shot at a truck in Phoenix, to where he can prove himself on a little bit faster racetrack, a little bit bigger racetrack, and I'm pretty sure he'll be pretty good.
Jacob, you and I have watched him in Legends. We watched him in late models. We watched him in modifieds. And you even talked about the fact that you had a feeling he might even contend for a top 5 spot at Martinsville last week, that you didn't think it was out of the question. And frankly, that's where he practiced. So what are your thoughts on him being able to go to Phoenix and race number 2 for him in the Camping World Truck Series?
I love it. I love it. I love it. I mean, you know, in racing, we all know that things happen. And unfortunately, Daniel's first race last weekend at Martinsville, things happened, you know, mechanical problems for that 6 truck, and he ended up about 40 laps down, didn't get the finish he probably deserved for the effort and the speed that he had shown all weekend. I think it's great. I think Eddie Sharp sees what this kid has to offer. I think he sees long-term profit out of the deal, and I think that's why he's given Daniel the second chance so quickly at Phoenix, to really give him a shot at a little bit bigger racetrack, a little bit more speed, and see what he can do with that truck. And I'm going to speculate, and I'll admit straight up, this is just speculation right now, but I would not be overly surprised to see, if the sponsors will go along with it, to see Daniel Hemrick in an SGR truck full-time in 2014.
Well, that would certainly be interesting. We're getting close to our second break of the evening. Tony, what have you got coming up on your schedule over the next couple of weeks? What are you going to be paying attention to in terms of motorsports here?
A little bit of everything. This is a great time of year. Like I said at the outset, I love this time of year. You've got so many big races, which means you got so many talent-packed fields. For instance, this weekend, the All-American 400, making the trip down to Nashville to take in the All-American 400. Second time I'll have been there, which I love that racetrack. It's been there many times, but on my second chance to do the 400. But love that racetrack, love the city, always a great race. So Nashville, then I get back from Nashville Sunday, and going dirt racing, guys. Going to the IMCA Duel in the Desert. In between there, we're going to stop at SEMA for a day, go IMCA modified racing for about 3 or 4 days over at the dirt track at Las Vegas, get back, and then who knows, I think I might be going to County Line Raceway, it sounds like, to do their race for the kids, doing some Legends racing at Anderson Motor Speedway, Snowball Derby. There's all kinds of things coming up. So, of course, the North-South Shootout, the Myrtle Beach 400, and this is only November we're talking about here, so there's a lot of things still going on as far as racing goes.
Well, Tony, thanks for stopping by and chatting with us here tonight on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. We really appreciate having you on and hope to talk with you again soon. We're going to take our second caution flag and our final caution flag of the evening. When we come back, we will hear from John Hunter Nemechek, who also made his Truck Series debut at Martinsville last weekend and will be in the field along with Daniel Hemrick this weekend at Nashville for the All-American 400. You are listening to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report on Race Chaser Online and Speed77 Radio. For 17 years, Stock Car Steel has been a leading materials supplier to the racing industry. We're proud they're a motorsports content partner here at Race Chaser Online. The biggest names in NASCAR trust Stock Car Steel for raw materials such as carbon steel, chrome moly, DOM, aluminum, plastics, and much more. You can't build a race car without the basic materials, and Stock Car Steel is the place to get them. Don't forget to also visit Stock Car Steel's sister company, SRI Supplies, for racing and industry. SRI is the place to go for all your shop supply needs. Nuts, bolts, rivets, tapes, adhesives, cutting tools, chemicals, body shop supplies, paint shop supplies, lubricants, and more. A well-stocked race shop is a winning race shop, and the path to winning begins with 3 letters, SRI. For more information, visit stockcarsteel.com or SRI-supplies.com. Check them both out on Facebook or call them toll-free at 1-888-752-7272, 1-888-752-7272.
I'm Jacob Seelman.
And I'm Tom Baker.
You're listening to Speed77 Radio.
Powered by Race Chaser Online.
We are your home for motorsports.
Welcome back to the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. Switching gears, Jacob, one of the top young talents in all of short track racing today, John Hunter Nemechek, made his debut in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series last weekend in Martinsville, and it was quite the success.
Yeah, it really was. Obviously, we heard from John Hunter after the race that it wasn't quite where he thought they should have finished. He felt like they had a top 10 truck, didn't quite get up into the top 10, had to fight their way back from a lap down, but overall he showed a lot of poise under pressure, showed that he could wheel the race car when it counted, and really, I think, impressed a lot of people this weekend. I think he showed that he's got the drivability, he's got the talent, it's just putting the circumstances together, and it just didn't quite fall his way on Saturday.
Well, we had the pleasantry of having John Hunter as a featured guest on our Motorsports Madness show on Tuesday night. And in case you missed that, we are bringing him back. And here he is, here on the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report to talk Martinsville and talk Nashville and talk about his plan for Phoenix as well. John Hunter.
John Hunter, you've certainly had your ups this season and a little bit of an interesting debut for you in the Camping World Truck Series. First off, thank you for taking some time to talk with us. What's your assessment of your debut in the trucks over the weekend?
First of all, thank you for having me, and our debut this weekend at Martinsville in the truck was definitely overall a good weekend. Our qualifying effort wasn't what we wanted, and I was a little disappointed about that, but at least we made the race. We could have been going home. So 30th spot was all right. And in the race, we had a really good race truck, and I was looking forward to the race. We ended up going a lap down there in the first segment of the race. We struggled to get our lap back, and we didn't get it back until I think it was like 11 to go or something, and we went from 25th to 16th in the last 10 laps or so. So we're definitely a top 10 truck, but just didn't have enough time.
I know time's always a commodity at these short tracks, and certainly you picked a short track with a lot of temper to make your debut at, being at Martinsville. What did you learn from fighting the racetrack or even battling your fellow competitors on the racetrack over the weekend?
Well, it was definitely some tough competition, and I learned a lot from racing with those guys. And racing there, everything that I've learned in a stock car so far about not driving in too hard and being able to get back on the gas early, none of that applied. So I had to throw that out the window and learn all over again. You had to drive in hard, and you couldn't get back to the gas early. So it was all about rolling there and drag strip for straightaways and tight corners.
Yeah, it's kind of the proverbial paperclip, isn't it, John Hunter? It's just one of those tracks that's really difficult on brakes, obviously, but it's also a track that, because of that, is sort of counterintuitive to the way you would think you'd want to race, for a distance race like you were running.
Yeah, you definitely would, but you couldn't hold back there. You couldn't ride. You had to go. And if you didn't go and run as hard as you could at every lap for 200 laps, then you were going to be laps down. I figured that out in the first segment. So just learning, getting more comfortable with the truck, learning each lap, getting better each lap, just gaining experience definitely helped.
Well, now, I've known you since your quarter midget days. I mean, that goes back a while. And I've watched you come up through and go from development class to development class. And, of course, these days, spending the majority of your time running in the late model series of one sort or another. But to see you get into the truck for the first time was pretty cool. Talk about what that was like for you. Even once you had the opportunity and you knew you were going to do it, it's kind of one thing to anticipate it, but a whole other thing to go there on race weekend and sort of get down to business and start the process, isn't it? That must have been just an amazing feeling for you, knowing that, okay, I'm just a couple steps away from being in Cup.
It is. It's definitely nerve-wracking, too. Just being there with all the Cup guys and all the Cup owners, you don't want to run bad. You want to run good, impress them. That's what gets you to the next step. So by doing that, you have to learn and gain experience, and we had a very good weekend. So it made for good talk in the garage for me, and it led us on. Thankful to our sponsors, SWM Gunrunner and PelletGrillUSA.com, that will be making my second NASCAR Camping World Truck Series start at Phoenix next week. So really looking forward to that too, and it shall be fun.
Well, now there's some good news. That's fantastic news, and thanks for cluing us all in on that. That's going to be a lot of fun to watch you run Phoenix. Let's talk, though, for a moment, if we could, about the late model, because you're getting back into the late model. You've got a big race coming up that you really want to win the race, but there's more to it than that. You're running for points championships.
Yes, we are. We actually have won one championship this year in the late model, and that was the Miller Lite Series Track Championship at Mobile International Speedway a few weeks ago. So that was really cool, and we're not out of the Southern Super Series title yet. We have one race left, and that's at Nashville, but we have to have Daniel Hemrick and Bubba Pollard have a bad race and get disqualified or not even start the race for us to have a mathematical shot. So going into this weekend, we really don't have anything to lose. So it's going to be checkers for us. So no records, but we're going to do the best we can. We're going to do the best we can to get up in the front and lead, and hopefully the pit crew will get us off pit road pretty quick. And we're definitely going for that win this weekend.
Have you ever had a chance to race at Nashville before, John Hunter?
Yeah, we ran the fairgrounds in April this year for the first Southern Super Series race. And it's definitely a fun track. There's multiple grooves, so it's very easy to race on. So we really look forward to this weekend. And like I said, we have nothing to lose. And we actually have McDonald's on board this weekend with us. Thanks to Larry and Linda for all their support they do for us in Nashville, and it shall be a good weekend. Have a sponsor on board that was there with us for the first race, and hopefully we can get our first win with them.
Well, there you go. Big Macs and Chicken McNuggets for the entire crew the weekend. Keep you very well fed. Lots of protein there, Jacob.
John Hunter, we're looking forward to hearing about your continued success. Obviously, best of luck to you for the Truck Series start here in Phoenix next weekend. Best of luck to you this weekend as you head to the Nashville Fairgrounds for the All-American 400. And thank you for taking a little bit of time to talk with us here this evening.
Well, thank you guys for having me, and look forward to being back on the show after we get a win.
You can look for John Hunter Nemechek to be a force to be reckoned with when the Sunoco Super Series late models take to the Nashville Fairgrounds track for this weekend's All-American 400. We'll have coverage from that on next Thursday's show. That brings out the checkered flag on tonight's special Halloween edition of the Stock Car Steel SRI Motorsports Report. Our show is a Speed77 Radio Race Chaser online production and can be heard in podcast form beginning 24 hours after the broadcast by visiting Race Chaser Online's YouTube channel. Special thanks to tonight's in-studio guest, Tony Stevens, and thanks as well to Jacob Seelman of Speed77 Radio, as well as to the folks at Stock Car Steel and SRI Supplies for making this show possible. Join Jacob Seelman and me every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern right here on Speed77 Radio's live stream for the Motorsports Madness Show. 1 hour of news and lively conversation from around the motorsports world. Our entire cast of characters joins us on Tuesdays from 7 Eastern until 8 p.m. Eastern. Until next Thursday, I'm Tom Baker, inviting you to check out StockCarSteel.com and SRI-Supplies.com for all your racing needs. For all the news of the day in motorsports, your first choice for short track news and driver interviews on the web is Speed77 Radio and RaceChaserOnline.com. So long, everyone. Happy Halloween. Be safe out there and have a safe racing weekend. Bye-bye.
I'm Jacob Seelman.
And I'm Tom Baker.
You're listening to Speed77 Radio,
Powered by Race Chaser Online.
We are your home for motorsports.